Alright lads, let's get straight into it, boys. Today it's a One Piece chapter. 1064, I believe. God, these numbers are getting too big. I'm not remembering them all. You know what I mean? But what a chapter. An action-packed chapter, boys. And also a disappointing chapter in one sense and one sense only. And we gotta talk about that right off the bat. My boy Sanji, right? I respect the man. The man is I respect him. But if you notice here, the man steals the drip of Jinbei the goat. And I don't like that. That's not okay in MK's book. I'm not gonna lie to you. Pissed me off a bit. What are we gonna say? Today has been a wild day. I got someone making his one and only wish in life for One Piece to end horribly, so that was cool. No, that was quite funny. I'm not gonna lie. Just the way he delivers shit is always very funny. But that aside, this was a fantastic chapter. We got Law versus Blackbeard continuing. It wasn't off screen. I mean, this part might be. Because it's like the thing where we got most of the fight, but then the end of it might be off screen. That's sort of what it looked like. I know I'm looking away from the camera right now. But how do I describe it? So we had... And the fight was really fucking cool as well. I'm reading through it again now. And it actually had his... Like, alright, let me do it. It had his... Like, Law's crew actually did stuff. Like, they were acting like fishmen, essentially, right? That's basically what they were acting like. They were acting like human fishmen, right? Because they were getting underwater, they were like, oop, and they were shooting out, like, blasts of water, and actually putting up a fight, and John Bart did shit. And I was like, holy mother of God, where was this in Wano, boys? Where was this when I needed it? I was so excited. This shit was so hyped for me, right? And we got to see Shock Willie again. And you know, I'm no liar. I love myself some Shock Willie. So, oh, so that was a great. I love that ability straight up. It's like one of the best abilities in the series. But I have to tell you right now, Law stocks rised so heavy. Like, he is wrecking shit. And I know he's probably going to lose in the end. But his stocks have rose so heavily. He's dealing with Blackbeard, regardless of with a little help to stall off like what would you say, his other crewmates with his crew basically stalling Blackbeard's crew, which is a feat itself for them. You know, they're actually functioning for what they have to do. They're like the support. When Law's not playing support, his crew plays support. You know what I mean? And honestly, man, I am so excited to see where Law goes from this. And when that top 30 comes around in a few months, this is going to be my my discussion for Law and where he sits. I have to say though, fantastic, because he got off because the Big Mom fight showed off Law's abilities like he's showing off now, but he showed him off like basically to set up kids' attacks, right? So we didn't actually get to see them offensively too much like we did, but like as in they were being set up. And here we go. Law is able to do it on the fly while he's attacking as well. And he can semi-negate a quake. It leads to his damage. Do you know what I mean? Like those stocks right now. Law could have fought Marineford Whitebeard and had a chance at winning, boys. That, like, a very slim chance, but still a chance. And that's saying something, fellas. I am excited to see where this goes. Law's stocks have risen quite heavily. But with that being said, well, the next part of the chapter is quite interesting because it actually ties into the cover story. Because the cover story obviously happened a lot more recently than we're thinking. Or, it must have happened literally like a day or two ago. Because Pudding gets introduced in this chapter and is basically like, Mama's gonna make you eat those words if she's still alive. And she's kind of laughing and she's like, oh, well, the old legends are torn. New eras only happen when the old legends are torn down. Now, I don't know who is saying this, right? This line threw me for a loop because I was like, man, you're talking to your mother like that. But then I was like, yeah, actually, she was a bitch to you, wasn't she? Makes sense. But it's interesting to have the cover story actually play a heavy part in the story now. Like, isn't it? It's a major thing. And Aokiji was in the cover story, which, I appreciate as an Aokiji simp. We simp for Aokiji here in this town. Big man, stronger than Akainu, in my opinion now, boys. Let's go. He's rocking some new drip. slightly new drip, actually. It's not entirely new, but it's a new shirt. And I appreciate the new shirt. I like the drip. And that's basically the entire fight, right? There is a scene here where it looks like Blackbeard gets knocked out. And then you slow him back and he gets his energy back. So, I don't know. When I saw this scene, the first thing I thought was, one of his, like, if we talk about the three people in one body theory, it's like one of them was taken out or one of them was like incapacitated and the other one had to switch in, because that's what it looks like. Because he goes from being knocked out on the floor to being awake again immediately. So I'm like, all right, if the opinion of the three bodies is true, then this whole thing here where he just jumps straight back up is exactly why. Which makes it interesting because we might have 3 separate Blackbeard Luffy fights now where Luffy has to take them all out at once. So that's going to be extraordinarily interesting. And we get a Quake and Puncture Willy clash. The clash of the generations, fellas. It's a clash that no one should be talking about. Shit was hype. And we get Akainu feeling frustrated at his job again, which I love because it's funny because I believe someone pointed this out a while back that if you only watch post time skip One Piece, you would actually think Akainu is a decent lad because he's done nothing bad post time skip besides doing his job, and it's like all his terrible shit was done pre time skip. So if you literally just hopped on, like some people hop on, and they only, and for example they'll like watch a show midway, and if you did that with One Piece, you'd be like thinking, why does everyone hate Akainu? What did he do? Obviously, you might know because you might have seen the jokes and people telling you why, but outside of that, you know what I mean? So you're just being frustrated again. It's going to lead to some interesting plot lines. I'm very excited. But then we cut back to Bonnie, and we actually see an aged up Luffy and an aged down Jinbei, which, pretty cool. Me, I love this shit. But I have to say, I don't know. The 70-year-old Luffy is this the bad timeline? Because he's looking a bit drowsy, buddy. No muscles on you there, mate. And Kuma is shown to have a really bad sort of view of himself, right? He's supposed to be the tyrannical king of Sorbet. And so, what did he do? And Bunny doesn't actually talk about this. Bunny never brings it up. She just looks at Jinbei and thinks silently. Because they go straight onto him being caught by the Navy and all this, right? And also, Bunny has a lightsaber, so that's pretty cool as well. But it's interesting too. Because it's weird. Because we talk about this a lot. With One Piece and what Kuma did and what his involvement with Vegapunk was, how he became part of the government. And Bonnie basically says that Vegapunk saved his ass, made him become a warlord, and he became his test subject. And then Bonnie says to us that Kuma is a very special race. So, in this, just talking about this right now, right? Because we can move on to the next scene later. What sort of race do we think Kuma is? Because I immediately thought Birkin, for some reason. Oh, no. I mean, obviously, Lunarian's a very heavy topic. In that sense, but I don't think they would have a Lunarian because... Oh my god, wait a minute. If he's Lunarian... If Kuma is Lunarian, it'd be like, okay, and originally, let's say, he hid his Lunarian heritage, and Vegapunk removed it. Maybe when he made the Seraphim, he re-added it for Kuma so he could have his original body back. Imagine that. Or something like that. I don't know. These ideas are just floating through my head. It could be a race we've never seen before, but if not, what do we think it is? Is he is he a giant hybrid or something? Because he's quite big. Is he a hybrid of a giant and like a Lunarian or something? Or is he like a hybrid of the tiny people that went to the moon in the Anelka story and a giant? So he has their sort of thing, but he also is a giant because he's half giant. That'd be interesting. That would also explain why Bonnie wasn't absolutely ginormous because she's only a quarter giant. So that would make more sense. Also, now Bonnie's part of a special race. If we assume she's if we assume she's the biological child of Kuma and not a adoptive child, because she specifies here, he says he was part of a very special race. So how come she's not? Do you know what I mean? She doesn't say, oh, he says we're part of a very special race. So that's quite an interesting thing I want to point out. It probably leads to the assumption that she's an adoptive daughter of Kuma's, which I'm sure a lot of people thought of already, but I don't know. I was kind of thinking biological, but then it's One Piece, so probably shouldn't think like that. But I will say, I love these new designs the more I have to see them. Like, Bonnie with a lightsaber, bro. What Straw Hat needs a lightsaber? I think Brook would work with a lightsaber. He just looks like a Star Wars guy. Right? And so now they're just chilling in their hat, and now we get a scene where we get Big Robot Man. And, alright, can we just talk? I want to talk about this real quick, because the second I saw Big Robot Man, and everyone was talking about the Blackbeard pirates, and they were talking about Frankie's fight with Burgess. That's not happening. He's fighting Wolf, the big giant fella. He's gonna get like a General Frankie XL, right? General Frankie XL, and he's gonna box Wolf. He's gonna like have one that size of Wolf, and he's gonna start punching Wolf, and it's gonna be like Rocky Balboa weaving in and out. And he's like, whoa. Dun, 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 dun. I can't do the sound right now. I could get it on my Spotify, but I'm not doing that. I'm not copyrighting striking this video. Do you know what I mean? He's like, dun, 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 bam, right? And it goes right through Marijoa. That's exactly what's gonna happen, boys. Destroys the One Piece with one punch. Bam. Knockout. Clean knockout of the One Piece, boys. Oh no, when Frankie gets that giant robot, I'm gonna be hype. Boys, what if that's the only pirate thing they do in the New World? They actually just steal the giant robot. That should be hype. It's like, oh, that shit would be insanity. I'm not even gonna lie. And then we get our first view of the full island of Egghead, which I loved, by the way, because the entirety of Egghead, you know in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, right? It just looks like, was it Fusion Land or like Fusion Portal? Like it was the field spell that Jaden used where he could fuse any monster on his field or something. That's what Egghead looks to me, like the innards of like Vegapunk Records, for example, and the floor, all just look like, I'm just gonna call it Fusion Land from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I can't remember the name. Here, wait, no, let me get it up. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX field spell. Fucking Google, work for me here. Alright. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX field spell. Alright. Fusion. I guess Fusion might work there. Yeah, I don't know. I hope I can find this. Otherwise, this is going to be a waste of my time. Here we go. What was it called? Get. Don't bring me to a fucking website. Just show me the goddamn image. Stupid fuck. I'll probably find it in images. Here we go. Fusion Gate. There we go. It just looks like Fusion Gate. That's what Egghead Island looks like, fellas. I don't know what you guys think, but that's sort of what I gleaned from it personally. And then we just get them rocking up. You know, the other Straw Hats get their new designs. Frankie looking really cool. Loving Frankie's new design. Usopp looking really cool. Nami looking really sick. Robin looking like RoboCop, and I love it. And Sanji's design. Look, we talked about this. We talked about the disrespect. Jinbei, the Hawaiian shirt is Jinbei's. No, it's Jinbei's. You only get that when you're a dad or you're Gabriel Iglesias. There's no in between with that shit. Alright? Jinbei deserved it. You don't, Sanji. Alright, and then we get the biggest reveal of the chapter, which I haven't talked about at all. Because, to be honest with you, I was just enjoying the smaller parts of the chapter until this happened. And I was like, alright, this is cool. And it goes, the problem with being a genius is that you can see your own future coming. What are you talking about, Vegapunk? I think I'll be dead soon. Don't kid about stuff like that. I wanted to tell you, I just wanted you to know about this dragon. So, as I was saying, and as I was trying to, it's not going to be the reason, but I'm telling you, put it this way. The reason we saw Vegapunk 2 first was because most people, including myself, would have probably thought either Robot or Ivankov, right? Because obviously we know Ivankov is the right hand man, and he can sort things out like this. I actually don't know what, because Ivankov can switch. So what is he at the moment? I think it's a he at the moment, right? He can like switch at a moment's notice. So I don't know what. I'm maybe. I don't know. Ivankov. I don't know. I have to look at the Vivo cards for that stuff, man. I need to. But anyway, what I was saying was, yeah, Ivankov. So like you can just at this point we can have a thing where all the hints of like the gender changes, the hint at Vegapunk being part of Revolutionaries in the early Eggheads were solid, and I knew it. I knew it, lads. I fucking knew it. There we go. It was solid as a rock. We got it. He's a revolutionary. That's why Kuma agreed to this. I still think Sabo fucked over Dragon's plan. Because as I've said before, I think Dragon had Kuma become a slave for the Celestial Dragons so he could get basically schematics or a blueprint of Marijoa, because they're literally using him to ride, so he would be able to basically Google Maps Dragon the entire location of Marijoa and a blueprint of the area. Do you know what I mean? Because they wouldn't think about that, and that is the best shit. And I am telling you that's what happened, because I'm almost 100% sure that is how it's going, and Sabo fucked it up, and Dragon's pissed. Alright? Also, I have to say, just looking at Usopp's design again, man, I don't know what it is, but having one leg shown and one leg not looks weird for Usopp. It gives off real dad energy, and I think it works for Usopp, to be honest. But I will say, this makes me hopeful for my original thought, because I was like, oh, it's going to be like an... Originally I said, like, it's going to be like Logtown, where the Smoker and all that show up, and then Dragon comes in at the end. Then I went, no, because Rob Lucci was coming, we're going to have Ennis Lobby. But I'm kind of going back now, because I said Dragon was going to show up, and if he does, that's just going to be hype. And we, you know what, we might actually find out about Dragon more so, because of Thing's connection to Dragon. And we might actually find Luffy's similarities to Dragon, because obviously Vegapunk knows about them. But interestingly, do we think we know what Vegapunk looks like? Do we think he revealed him a long time ago? We just didn't know about it. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? There's a lot in this chapter with Vegapunk. I have to say, it's weird though that he's talking to Stella 1. So, do we think the original Vegapunk is dead? Because if that's the case, let's say Vegapunk created these versions of himself, practically, right? Do we think the original Vegapunk is already dead and Stella 1 is now the original Vegapunk? Maybe before he died, he uploaded his original consciousness to Stella 1. I don't know. I think that'd be interesting. Or even, imagine this, right? Plot twist. Imagine if Vegapunk is Kuma. Alright? Just sit with me for a second. Right, we talk about the different versions of Kuma and how Kuma works on him. You know, Kuma agreed to be his test subject. Kuma was apparently known as a tyrant. You know what I mean? What would make sense? And it was very easy to get his DNA. He was able to protect the Straw Hat ship. He was able to do whatever. But if Kuma is Vegapunk, then that would make sense, because he's talking to himself. He's making agreements with himself, and he already has different bodies. So it would make sense if he just decided to make more, and he made the Kuma body. And we could say Kuma might be his original body, and he just decided to modify it and bring himself out of it so he could become a Vegapunk or whatever. Now, obviously, you're like, well, that doesn't make sense, because he was originally from the Sorbet Kingdom, and we all know Vegapunk grew up where Frankie went. But look, if a man can literally clone himself into 6 different people, location shouldn't be a fucking problem, okay? Like, let's not... Alright, and this is just a crackhead theory, and I'm rolling with this now because I love it with all my heart. It's a fantastic theory, and yous all know it. You just don't know it enough yet. I'm saying it here and now. Vegapunk is Kuma. Kuma is Vegapunk. Vice versa. That is facts. And no one can tell me otherwise. Good night, everyone.